Well, good evening and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I've got an interesting gentleman to introduce you to tonight. His name is Atul Mehra?
Mehra.
Mehra, I apologize, who is a certified psychotherapist, a fascinating gentleman. He's lived in Ecuador, he's lived in Canada, he's from India originally. He's got some fascinating ideas. He's written a couple of books. And I've chatted with him before about one book that he wrote. I can't remember the title of the tool, but it was about everything that's right or wrong with you was a factor of what happened in the womb, in your mother's womb. What was it called?
The Unseen Wisdom of the Unborn.
The Unseen Wisdom of the Unborn. And he's written another book about disease. What's this book called?
The Need for Disease.
The Need for Disease. And, you know, we're living in a time of some pretty prevalent infectious disease. Why do you think we have a need for disease?
First of all, we have to understand that how the disease is created. Let us say I don't buy a disease from someone who is selling it. I mean, it's ridiculous to say, sir, how much of my diabetes would you like to buy today, right? Or if you don't behave well, that person is going to give you his cancer. It doesn't happen like that. Who creates the disease? The person himself, right? Yep. On his unconscious mind. There is something cooking up at the back of the head, which is creating that disease, which I'm not able to understand, which I'm not able to analyze, which I'm not able to access that part.
So you think disease is not something we get from external forces. It's something that our subconscious mind is responsible for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There used to be a thing that physical, but now everything is psychosomatic. So first is appear on your psyche level, and then it manifests on your body. I have been working, since last 22 years, more than 22 years rather, with thousands of clients, more than 17,000 sessions, from simple anxiety to schizophrenia, including disintegration of a tumor, and in different countries with very high success rate. And all these things have taken me to one conclusion, that we are the creator of our reality. Whatever is happening right now in my life, I am doing it on an unconscious level, which I cannot access, but I'm the one who is creating it. I am responsible for my happiness. I am responsible for my sadness. I am responsible for my disease, and I'm responsible for my health. I am responsible for my financial future. I'm responsible for any separation or any union. It's all is created by me.
Okay, so if I had diabetes right now, I could understand your argument, because diabetes may be based on lifestyle, that it's my bad diet, it's my lack of fitness, etc. But if I had cancer, that's because of something subconscious?
Yes. So I have, treated lots of cancer clients, and it's also in my first book, which I wrote, The Unseen Wisdom of the Unborn. So I remember that lady created a breast cancer, and I remember, of course, it happened in Canada. And she said, Atul, 5 years of psychotherapy, 14 different psychotherapists, but I never went that deep. Today, I went in this session. She further explains, now today I know why I created cancer in my right breast and not in my left breast. Why I always gave milk, when my baby was little, from left breast and not from right breast. And now I know. I know when my older sister died, she died of cancer. And when she was dying, everybody was around her. And she was being taken care of like she has never taken care of before. But I don't want to go into that pathway. And I want to look that acceptance part in myself.
So you're suggesting that subconsciously her body created cancer so she would get attention like her sister had?
It is one of the cases, but we know that whatever we do, whether small or big, Freud and Jung, I read once that Freud and Jung, Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung.
Well, please remind us who the two of them are.
Freud is the father of the psychology.
Freud is the father of psychology.
Yeah, Sigmund Freud. And Carl Jung was his son. His disciple, not son. His son. So I read somewhere a long time back that Freud and Jung have proved that whatever you do, small or big thing, beneath it, there is only one thing, that is sexual desires. But today I do not agree with it. I have worked on a more deeper level, and I have come to know whatever we do, whether good or bad, beneath it, we are only looking for one thing, and that's acceptance, validity, validation, approval.
So that's interesting. So you're saying that, and lots of us have heard this, you're saying that Freud and, how do you pronounce it, Jung?
Yeah, Carl Jung.
And Jung thought everything was motivated by sexual desire. And what you're saying is that's not right. Well, everything is motivated by the desire for acceptance.
That's right. That's the core of our, whatever we do in our life, we're looking for that acceptance. And for that acceptance, the wars are being done, crimes, diabetes, cancers, name anything, love, passion, kids, everything is going around it. And it only brings to one thing. Whatever we do, through that acceptance, we are trying to recognize ourselves. That's a connection with my inner self, to connect, be one with me. The only question in life is self-consciousness.
We look for acceptance from others so that we can feel better about ourselves?
Actually, it's a part of it. So we have subjective reality and we have objective reality, right? So we both need to make what I feel here from my side, how I feel about myself in my heart, and how others feel. This is a subjective reality. Objective reality is that how others are going to treat me. So I look for the both thing. But the purpose of both of whatever we do, that's to recognize myself. That's a self-recognition, self-acceptance, or self-consciousness. Whatever you do, whether you're a scientist, you're a rock star, you are a person dying, God forbid, of a terminal disease, beneath it there is only one thing, self-recognition, self-consciousness.
Sounds like Maslow's theory of needs, that the highest one is self-actualization. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We're chatting tonight. Fascinating gentleman, a registered or a certified psychotherapist, Atul Mehra. We're going to come back with him in just a minute. Stay with us. Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. Tonight, we're talking about, I don't know what we're talking about, frankly. We're talking about psychotherapy. We're chatting with Atul Mehra, who is a certified psychotherapist. And what he just told us is that everything is about acceptance, and our strive for acceptance, and I guess self-identity. Is that what it is, Atul? Self-identity?
Yes, absolutely. That's the only purpose of life. We can have,
only purpose of life is figuring out who we are.
Exactly. That's what we are doing. Rest all are nothing but the pathways to keep on living. But beneath it, if we go to the core or to the initial part of our life, that's nothing but looking for that acceptance in myself, to connect with myself, to recognize myself. What exactly is disease? Disease is nothing but an unconscious expression of self. Since the time...
Hold it. Disease is nothing but an unconscious reflection of self.
Expression of self.
Expression of self. So it's, I want to have diabetes. I want to have cancer. That's what you're saying?
There can be unconscious desire, but now the question is, we know that things go from start to worst. Of course, I'm not saying cancer is good or diabetes is good. I always pray to God that nobody should have it. It is bad. But now the question is, now I have it. What is the solution?
And your solution is not
to go to the core.
It's not radiation. No. It's that you got to figure out something about yourself.
To go to the core and understand not why it was created, but what for it was created.
Hold it. Not why it was created, but what for it was created?
Yes.
What do you mean what for it was created?
So what for is, basically we are talking about, it has a more deeper meaning. It talks about the process. It talks about the mental situation, etc. Why just take us to the past and create the reason. It doesn't go to the emotional part, because disease is being created from unconscious mind, which is a part of our emotional brain. Rationally, nobody creates a disease. Nobody says, you know what, 17 years, I'm going to have diabetes, 25, I'm going to have multiple sclerosis, 30 years cancer, and I die. Nobody planned his life like that. But nevertheless, we know lots of our friends and family members who have gone through more or less the same process. So disease is coming from unconscious mind. And when I give reasons, that's why and because, it just, goes there. So when I ask what for, it has a deeper meaning. The process, when I'm talking, when I say, why do you work? Oh, because I have to pay my taxes, right? When I ask you, what for you work? Oh, I work because I like to have, program. I like to schedule because I want to help others, etc., etc. So there comes a difference. It's a deeper question. It talks about the processes which are happening underneath. It's trying to make unconscious conscious. Why is just because, etc. So that is why what for becomes very important.
What
Whenever,
what
for
for?
what?
This is interesting. So you're saying that I could say I work to make money, but you think my what for is more deeper
It
than
gives you purpose.
making money. It's something that gives me purpose.
It gives you objective. What for you're working.
It gives me self-identity. It gives me recognition. It gives me something to do every day.
Absolutely. More satisfaction. It's more satisfaction. Everybody works. Who doesn't work? Everybody works. But
So this
what
is
for you
interesting.
work?
What you're saying is subconsciously we can create disease for some specific reasons.
Absolutely.
And I guess some of them are to get recognition, to get support,
Everything.
to get acceptance.
Everything. I have treated from simple anxiety to schizophrenia with very high success rate, including disintegration of a tumor, with the same thought at the back of my head to make the person realize the lack of self-acceptance in his life. And
The lack of self-acceptance in their life. So what you're doing is if someone came to you with breast cancer today, you would sit down with them and talk about and try to find out why they had a lack of self-acceptance in their life.
It's not talk, it's much more than that. It's a very advanced technique, which I'm the only one who practices in US and Canada. It's integrative therapy of in-depth psychology, which was developed by Dr. Vernon Meinhold. He's my mentor and my teacher and my friend. And of course, he left his physical body, but he was a great thinker. And he's the one.
Hold it. Sorry. You said he left his physical body.
It means because we know that soul is permanent. It never dies.
Is permanent.
It never dies. Yeah, that's the difference between spirit and a soul, So let's say in Christianity, like there is no belief in reincarnation. That's why they call it spirit. So that the spirit comes and spirit leaves. That's why Holy Spirit, right?
Yeah.
But when we call soul, the same thing soul, because there is a belief of reincarnation. The person takes birth again and again. That's why we call it soul. So either way,
you obviously believe in reincarnation.
I don't believe in reincarnation because I was born in India. It's because of my experience, real experience with it. I will tell you off the record one day. It's a very private thing. So then it's not because I was born in India, because it's my research which has, created that. I cannot deny it. I don't believe it. At the same time, I cannot deny it. So I had no other remedy but to accept that, because it goes beyond reasoning. So that's why the soul stays there. So that's why I use the word, he has just left his physical body.
Okay. So sorry for interrupting you. So I understand better now. Please go on.
So he's done lots of studies, he has been to 80 countries and created this fascinating therapeutic process, which is, I think, one of the most advanced therapeutic process I have ever seen, which contains all the therapeutic processes. We have Gestalt, we have Adler, we have psychoanalysis, we have Gestalt, we have psychodrama, and you name everything. We
Hold
have
it, hold it,
CBT.
hold it. Let's go through these a little bit slow. So we have psychodrama. What is psychodrama?
So psychodrama is a technique when, they make you like role models. So let us say somebody is not here and you are mad at that person, right? So you do, okay, imagine that person is in front of you. If he had been here, what you would say, right? So, oh, I would say that you are this, you are that, etc., and how that person would respond to you. So, this is like a role, switching role, and we do those things. So that's
Okay.
psychodrama.
Okay,
So,
you said Gestalt. What's Gestalt?
Gestalt is basically the totality, to bring the person in a complete harmony with himself. That's what the Gestalt technique is about. So they work as a whole, not in different parts. Let us say in cognitive behavior therapy, for example, let us say when you're anxious, so you repeat certain sentence, or you do some visualization, or you do some breathing exercise to calm down the effect. So it has a very, very, it is a very, very good control over the situation, which is very, very helpful. But at the same time, you need to repeat it. So it means you are rejecting a part of you, which is anxiety, by pushing it away through medication or whatever.
And that's Gestalt or that's cognitive behavior?
So Gestalt work with whole. So they treat the person as a whole, the totality.
Okay, what's cognitive behavior therapy?
So that's what I'm talking about, CBT or cognitive behavior therapy. It's like I told you, the person does exercise, breathing exercise, or when somebody has anxiety or panic attack, okay, breathe slowly, or maybe repeat some sentence, or work with some other visualization technique to take control of the situation which you are going through.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption, but that was very helpful. So go on. So this mentor of yours taught you these exercises.
So in-depth psychology deals with unconscious behaviors and attitudes. So he, created his very specialized technique, which includes all of it and works. So there is basically three types of therapy. One goes on left hemisphere, which is rationalization, etc. Talk therapy, which is CBT. But the question is, CBT is very good for certain things, but not all of the things can be resolved with CBT. Then there's therapies which goes to
CBT is cognitive behavior therapy.
Behavior therapy, yeah, that's right.
And that's conscious because that's on the left side of the brain.
Exactly. Analytical, use a lot of analytical mind, and it's very, very good, it helps you a lot in many things, right? But then there is therapies connected with emotions based, so which work with the emotion. So, but the problem there is, if somebody has a very strong emotion, if that pops up, that comes up, he's not able to handle it. So they try to work on an emotional mind. Now there is a third type of thing which uses part of left hemisphere, which is rational mind, and other part which is emotional mind. Use both of it and work with both hemispheres, which is like in-depth psychology or psychodynamic therapeutic processes, which work on unconscious mind, go to the roots, or rather I would say through the technique which I practice with, go to the seed of the problem and bring hidden patterns which are controlling person's life underneath.
Hidden
For example,
patterns that control people's life subconsciously. So how do you get to figure out what these hidden patterns are that control people's lives
let us say
subconsciously?
Person comes with anxiety, right? Yep. So person says, oh, I have anxiety, I have panic attack. Whenever I try to do something, I don't feel well, and I don't know what is happening. I've been taking medication, and I've done this thing, that thing, etc. But I don't know what's happening. So I know that he's looking for something more deeper, right? We need to go to the seed of the problem. What are those patterns? What makes him feel anxious? So we try to bring surface from unconscious to conscious mind to conscious.
How do you do that?
That's what the therapeutic process. That's why you need to take an appointment and come to my office. That is what I charge per hour.
Okay, so is it like hypnosis or something, or what?
So now there's a new definition for us in hypnosis, according to Dr. Meinhold. Hypnosis is not a method or a technique. It is the first form of consciousness. So
Hypnosis is the first form of consciousness.
yes, so according to his research, the consciousness have 4 forms. One is the analytical form, then sleep is there, then we have dreams, and then dream is a part of it, and the rational mind, like the conscious mind. So hypnosis is the first form of consciousness, and unconsciousness, that's the 4th part. So first is hypnosis, second is state of vigilance,
State of
third
what?
is vigilance, analytical mind.
Okay.
Then we have or we call this rational part or conscious part. We have sleep, and the 4th part is unconscious. So 95 to 97% of our life we live in hypnosis. We are never now and here, we are in future, or we are in past. So every time the person creates diabetes, every time person creates cancer, God forbid, or anxiety, or wants to eat compulsively, or wants to create an addiction, or gets angry very fast out of nowhere, that state we call hypnosis, because he is creating that disease or disorder or illness unconsciously, not consciously. He's not rationalizing creating his anxiety. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Anxiety is just coming up automatically
subconsciously. I understand that.
out of nowhere. So we go to the seeds of the problem, we go to the roots of the problem to understand what is that pattern, hidden pattern, which is creating it. What is that pattern which has been pushed, or what is that part which is trying to look for it recognition? So that part, which is an anxious part, or which is a painful part of the person's life, I call it unspoken self or misunderstood self.
So the painful part of you that is influencing you negatively is the unspoken self.
Spoken part of self, or unspoken self, or ununderstood or misunderstood self.
Misunderstood self, or unspoken self. And what we need to do through your process is figure out what that unspoken self is.
Exactly. So once it is understood, it automatically gets integrated back. So now the person is not divided, but he's complete. He
more towards what the problem is that he's got that is creating these unconscious problems.
Absolutely, because fortunately, problems were created before the solutions.
Yes, well, that's true. Problems are created before the solutions.
No, that's wrong. I just wanted to bring you so that I could say this. This is wrong thing. This is what we think. But from unconscious point of view, solutions were created before the problems, and problems are bridged to solutions.
Solutions are created before the problems, and solutions are bridges to the solutions.
Solutions were created before the problems, and problems are bridged to solution. That is what we work with. So all the questions, all the problems you have in you, and also all the solutions. So the only person who can heal you is you, nobody else.
The only person who can heal you is you. Well, that's a great line to end this section on. We're chatting with Atul Mehra. We're going to take a break. Atul is a certified psychotherapist. Fascinating conversation. We're going to be back with you in a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Show. We're chatting with Atul Mehra. He's corrected me on how to pronounce it. Is that right? Atul Mehra?
Yes, that's right. Mehra.
Mehra.
Well done.
Who is a certified psychotherapist, a fascinating gentleman. And he's been talking to us about 2 of his books. One that is about, what's the first one called?
The Unseen Wisdom of the Unborn.
The Unseen Wisdom of the Unborn, which is about what happens in the womb ends up influencing you dramatically in your later life. And the second book is The
Need for Disease.
The Need for Disease, which sounds like a lot of things that happen to us are because of our subconscious mind, and a need for acceptance and a need to create self-identity. And to one of the other topics that you mentioned when we first started, which I'm intrigued by, is you said that your process could solve any relationship problems. What do you mean by that?
Yes. So the question is that there is no problem, but there's only solutions. There is never a problem in relationship. There is always solutions which we are not able to find. That's why we get separated, so everything starts, let us say, when you were young. Whatever you saw, learned, heard, imagined, saw your parents, society, culture, that got embedded in your subconscious mind, and you attract all experiences through that.
So what you're saying is the relationship that your parents have influences the relationship that you have today.
Absolutely. So your partner never have a problem. When you start working with unconscious mind, then you start realizing, oh my God, now I know why I act that way to that response, because we have transfer and counter transference. This is because
Sorry, what was that? We have what? We have transference?
Transference and counter transference.
Transference and counter transference.
Yeah,
what's that?
Let me explain you.
Please.
So I thought that it only occurred on the level of therapist and the patient, but no, we are all surrounded by transferences and counter transferences in our daily life, which I call them unconscious hooks.
Unconscious hooks.
Yeah. So basically is when a patient transfers his sentiments of past onto the therapist, that is known as transference. Let us say they try to look a father figure, or they try to look a mother figure in the therapist. So they are trying to, use that, which is very natural, because Freud says transference is inevitable. Then the counter transference is the person or the therapist who has the counterpart of that hook. He also transfers his childhood things on the therapist, on the patient, and which is known as transfer and counter transference. So that's why, in College of Research Psychotherapists, we work a lot with self and safe and effective use of self. For example, a female client falls in love with the therapist, which is a transference. And
hold it. Why is that a transference? So you're saying the female client isn't falling in love with you, the therapist?
So what's happening on an unconscious level? Yeah, unconscious level, she is doing a regression to his 4 or 5 years of his age, right? And looking for a father figure in the therapist. So now the transference is offered, right? If person has not done a very good work on himself, he can answer it with counter transference. He also does a regression to 4 or 5 years of his age unconsciously and look for the need of a mother. Since they are in adult body, the union is only possible through sex, and the therapy goes to hell.
Well, it'd be illegal too, probably, right?
Absolutely. So that's why when the transference is offered, I know that transference is being offered. So if I don't accept the transference, I am going to reject the attractive sexual being.
You're going to reject the what?
Attractive sexual being. So in order to understand that we teach our children the social role of a father or mother, but we don't teach them the role of a gender.
The role
that
of
they are also attractive as a girl or as a boy. You know what I mean? Because that part is like hidden. We don't tell them, okay, the things so that they can feel complete from the both sides. Because what happens generally, the sexuality is hidden. Let us say in countries like India, etc., I never saw my father or mother hugging them or kissing them, right? We don't know when we were born and when we were brother and sister were born. So there was no openness to the sexuality. I never saw my father hugging my mother or kissing because it was like kind of prohibited at that time. Right?
Okay.
So we do not give them this message that they are also attractive sexual being. So for example, let us say a husband says to wife, I don't love you anymore, please go away. Now wife is mature, wife is, we call it immature, wife is, let us say, is intelligent. She says, okay, I love you, but if you don't want me, I am going, and she leaves. Now, if that wife is a attractive sexual being for the husband, he can live without her. But unconsciously, if she is fulfilling the substitution of mother, he cannot live without her and goes back again and again to find her, because there was not healthy separation. So now you can understand the concept of attractive sexual being versus who is not. It makes sense?
I'm not sure, frankly. So what you're saying is, if there's a separation between a man and a wife, and the wife is a attractive sexual being, then
she understands, she's mature, she understands that husband doesn't love him anymore, and so she gets separated.
Right.
Okay, I'm going away because you don't love me anymore. So she has the capacity to get separated from her husband, but husband has that separation anxiety because in his childhood somewhere he was not able to get separated freely from his mother. So unconsciously, that wife was filling the emptiness created by the mother, was filling that gap.
So he wants to get back together with the female because she was the mother figure in his life.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure what we've accomplished. What you said is you can make sure that all relationships work. How does this help all relationships work?
So when we start working on ourselves, because when you point somebody with one finger, there are three which are pointing at you. You did this to me.
That's true. I can see that.
So we have to start. So everything starts from yourself. Of course, those are a little bit complicated things. It requires lots and lots of time to understand. But try to understand. So let us say a transference, counter-transference in a general life, right? So let us say husband and wife starts arguing on a XYZ, and they have always heated arguments. Now the husband does therapies, and he starts understanding the complications which are happening in his life, where it is coming from, how his father used to act, how his mother, used to respond, how father was aggressive or not aggressive, what attitude father had, which is using towards his wife. Because he is living his father's life more or less, right? Because this is what we follow. We follow our parents. We follow what we learn, the same words, and blah, blah, blah. In most of the cases, there can be exceptions also. So now he comes to know, why I get angry, because what is making me angry, my wife has got nothing to do with it. It is a part inside me which is interpreting this way, which I have been doing my whole life, and I was not conscious about it. So now this time when the heated argument comes, he doesn't want to argue. He says, wife, why we are fighting? Why can't we find pacific solutions? I don't know how to say, but try to understand. Now, he always used to shout or scream on his wife, but this time he's very pacific. So wife feels that she is less welcomed or less received than before, because husband is not participating in the same way.
Because she wants to be yelled at? She's used to being yelled at?
Because this is the way they create it. Because now sometimes say, okay, I don't want to talk right now. The person gets more angry, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's true.
So now he feels that he's not participating. He doesn't, no, please don't argue. Why can't we find? And the person, I have lots of those cases, right? So that is happening, transfer and counter transfers at that time. So she feels that she is less welcomed or less received than before. And she feels somewhere that husband doesn't love him anymore, because that has become their unconscious way of connecting.
Their unconscious way of connecting was yelling at each other. And when you try to stop the yelling, the other person reacts negatively to that?
Yes.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it's all there. So then, but in fact, the love has become more real and authentic because he wants to find a pacific solution and don't want to argue the same way. So it means that now wife also need to work on herself to understand what are those filters, what is the information, what are the connections of neurons in her cerebral cortex, which is creating, because as soon as the information comes, it has to go specific way. If it is not, it's going to trigger an emotion. So once we start understanding those patterns, once we start working on ourselves individually to understand what is that thing inside me which is making me live these circumstances again and again. I mean, many of
a lot of them come from our upbringing, and all we're doing is learning them from the way that our mothers and fathers interacted.
But that is not our parents' fault. That is not our parents' fault. They did the best they could do. This is our interpretation. The same with the disease. There is no such thing as disease in DNA. It can be changed. Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote the book, The Biology of Belief, world famous, he has given so many talks, he has spoken so much on that. So the same thing is with the disease. The same thing is with our, oh, your father had diabetes, mother had, you're also going to have. Now the person creates diabetes to unconsciously show his love towards his parents, that I belong to your herd, because he had no choice. Somebody says, oh, I reject my father and he rejects me. So I tell you, connect with your father through rejection. This is what you are working on. So connection is there, but through rejection. What is beneath rejection? Love. What is hate? Hate is when love expressed badly, it becomes hate. Hate is love.
Hold it. Hate is love expressed badly.
When love expressed itself badly, it becomes hate. Hate is love which I cannot have.
Hate is love which I cannot have.
Yeah, because love finds its balance in hate, in separation, in fear, and in pain. If you don't want to feel pain, don't love anyone, and you will never feel pain.
If you don't want to feel pain, don't love anyone.
Right?
Well, actually, you know what? That's probably pretty true. That's probably pretty true. We're chatting with Atul Mehra, a certified psychotherapist. We're going to take a break for messages and come right back. Stay with us. Well, we're chatting with Atul Mehra, a certified psychotherapist, a fascinating gentleman. We've covered a lot of ground tonight. Atul, you've talked about disease being an unconscious
expression of self.
A unconscious expression of self. What about COVID-19? Is COVID-19 an unconscious expression of self?
Well, if, let us say, in my experience, but I believe, of course, many wouldn't believe that, like scientists cannot prove if God exists, but we believe that God exists, right? So my experience, in my own very opinion, I think we are creating it. So there are many aspects of COVID-19. Let us say we are depending so much on technology. So let us say this cell phone, make us connect with the people who are far from us, but it makes us distant from the people who are near to us. Have you ever gone to the restaurant and you see a family, everybody's on his cell phone, texting, kids are there, they are eating, but everybody's on his phone. they are close, but they're not close. So I think maybe collectively, unconsciously, we have created to wake ourselves up to be more together with our families, to understand the value that life is not about working outside. That's why many violences, many divorces are happening. What exactly is a personal life? Person wakes up in the morning, go out, work, come back, 8-9 hours. He's working with co-workers, and he doesn't understand the family life. But now they are forced to live together. So that's why they are not very much comfortable, because they didn't live the marriage life the way they should have lived, because 8-9 work, they work outside, and they feel content with that. So maybe I think COVID-19 is giving us an idea. Look at the weather. They say so much pollution has gone down. So I think we are all creating it unconsciously. We are trying to understand. The man feels that he is so strong, that he has discovered like immorality. In how do you say immortality, right? He can live forever, but nature says no, that's not right. Little bit of that thing, and everything is stopped. All these planes, all those ships, everything is completely stops. So I think this is a message to us. It is a message we are creating to ourselves, that we need to come closer to our family members. We need to spend time with each other. Technology is for us. We are not for technology. We are living right now for technology. So I think COVID-19 is one of the lesson to us, created by us, in my personal opinion. The lesson that we need to come closer to our family members, because now we are obliged to live together under one roof, and we are understanding exactly what relationships are. Why do you think all these addictions are? Why 80% is boys, 20% are girls? Because kids don't get time from their parents. Parents are busy working outside. When they come back, okay, it's evening, and they don't know what to do. So they look for the company where they can get that acceptance, that recognition, that fitting thing, and the addiction comes. So all this is created by us. We are living in a very sick society. If you are not efficient, you're worth nothing. So that's why it's becomes of very, very urgent and important for us to recognize, first to connect with myself, and then with my family members. Spend quality time with yourself. All other things are secondary. The main important thing is social values, your family, yourself, your children, attention on them, and leave this technology away and be more human. First, we need to be human, then we can be anybody.
Well, Atul, I'm not sure if I agree with you as to what the source of COVID-19 was, self-conscious desire for this sickness, but I actually sort of agree with your comments about the solution. I do
Listen,
think that we've been...
Wait, who created it? Humans?
I think it was created in a wet market in Wuhan, China,
Whatever.
between bats and
Unconsciously, it was created unconsciously by humans. You agree on that?
No, I don't agree that it was created unconsciously by humans. I think it was
But
created
okay,
in a wet
who created
market.
it? Human created it? Humans created it, or it was created by itself?
By what?
It was created by itself?
Yeah, I think it was created by a virus that was in bats that traveled between bats and other animals, and then to humans.
But whatever it
wet
is,
market in Wuhan.
who were responsible for it to come up? Humans or not? Or virus said, okay, you know what? I am fed up now living with bats. It's time for me to go and see if I can find a new house in human's body.
Yeah, I think that's what happens with viruses. They travel from...
Okay, it's all right. But whatever it is, so he was just sleeping, and suddenly one day he wakes up. Oh, the bat is looking at a human. Let me go and try that body. It doesn't happen like that. It'd be ridiculous to something happened there. There was a human connection. There was a human involvement somewhere, and this came into existence. This is what I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think everything we do, we are creator of that. Why many people are dying and others are saving their lives? that can be also unconscious way of living the life.
Atul Mehra, it's a pleasure always chatting with you. Thank you so much for illuminating so many interesting concepts tonight. We're going to take a last break, and I'm going to come back with some some concluding comments.
Hello.
Well, welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We've had, I think, a fascinating chat with Atul Mehra, a certified psychotherapist tonight. And I don't agree with him that COVID-19 was created by humans subconsciously. But you know what? I do agree that it has taught us an important lesson. And so maybe the solution is exactly what Atul talks about. Someone mentioned to me that it was almost as if Mother Nature sent us to our rooms and said, you got to have a time out. Or I think about, whether it's the flood from the Old Testament or something like that maybe we have been living lives that are socially distant from our families, that are a little bit crazy, and that what Mother Nature or the universe or God or just this disease happening is teaching us is to live a slightly quieter life, a quieter, more close to home life, a life with our families a little bit more. And Atul is right. It's as if, people are talking about the canals in Venice have never been cleaner. The skies above Shanghai and Beijing and Los Angeles have never been cleaner. That the world is actually healing itself during this quiet time period. It's almost like we've been told to take a time out, to smell the roses, to calm down, to go back and spend more time with their families. And as Atul said, technology has made the world closer, but our families more distant. And so therefore, maybe we need to spend more time. And so, during COVID-19, I've enjoyed some quiet time. I've spent time in my backyard, in my house. I've had nice dinners, and I've enjoyed it. It's been enjoyable. And so maybe Atul's got a point. So Atul Mehra, thank you so much for chatting with us tonight. It's always
That is all mine.
I look forward to chatting with you again. Thank you so much.
That's
Atul Mehra and Brian Crombie on the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. Have a great evening.
You too.